Hey everybody, welcome back. This is Luke Nandy Bear, aka Luke Book Bear, and tonight I want to talk about and discuss Tornado Cash. Now, what is Tornado Cash? Well, I'm looking at their old website. This is a save from the Wayback Machine. This is the last save, most recent from August of 2022, and it says Tornado Cash, a fully decentralized protocol for private transactions on Ethereum. So in other words, it's a tumbler or a mixer. This is going to mix up your transactions with other transactions for privacy purposes. Now this some real quick overview on or background on what happened at Tornado Cash last August 2022. U.S. Treasury, they sanctioned the Tornado Cash, and as part of the sanctions they added them to a list. Now, I've never heard of this before. It's called Specially Designated Nationals and Blocked Persons List. Now apparently this means if you're on this list, other people, well, any American or probably anyone inside the US, if you're an American, you cannot use anything on this list, and apparently that includes open source software. So now, like I said, well, let me just continue on. Now, this is the litigation. Now, I just found out about today or earlier today, and these are some people. This is filed May 24th, 2023. Here's the case number. It's a civil case. It's in the United States District Court for the Western District of Texas, and it's now in the Austin Division, and before it was in the Waco Division. Now these are 6 people here that brought the case. Now I don't recognize their names, and I did do a quick search before I did the video about their names, and then nothing came up really. I mean, as far as being well-known people, I mean, maybe they are. I haven't searched to a great degree yet. I want to make the video about it, and then I'm gonna write about it later on, but I want to share it. So these people, they're arguing that they want to use the protocol, Tornado Cash, but they are worried about they're going to be harmed, whether that and face penalties, whether that's criminal or civil. I'm not sure what kind of penalty you can face from this. So their arguments are four. One is that it's a violation of their First Amendment. I mean, their First Amendment rights. That is freedom of speech, freedom of association, freedom of movement. Same thing as reading a book. If you're an American, the federal government cannot tell you what book you can or cannot read. There may be some certain circumstances where maybe if you've been sentenced by a court to confinement somewhere, at that point they probably will. They're going to regulate what kind of material comes in there. So you may not be able to read any kind of book you want to read, but as far as a free American, you can read any book you want to read. Same goes for open source software. So their argument is that, well, there's the First Amendment argument, and then there's 3 others. Another one is that the law that the Treasury relied on, the U.S. code, or maybe the Treasury has their own code of law, was written for proprietary software. Written out the law itself. I'm not talking about the software. So their argument is that the sanctions are not valid because open source software is not applicable to the law or the way that the law was written. And there's 2 other arguments. One is that the U.S. Treasury, their position is that if you own a torn token, and apparently a torn token is it is a token for Tornado Cash. If you own that, the Treasury's position is that you are part owner in the decentralized open source protocol, which to me doesn't make any sense, and I think pretty much everyone else would agree it doesn't make any sense, including the plaintiffs in this civil case. So that's the 3rd argument. Well, I'm not sure the order of the arguments, but I'm just saying there's 4 of them. And the last argument is that something about interest, and I don't have a good understanding at all about this one, so I don't want to talk about it really, but the position of the Treasury is that either Tornado Cash, the protocol itself, would have an interest in the tokens that you own or possess, or you would, or some kind of way there's some sort of interest that's in violation of the law, according to the Treasury. That's their position. So I think it's an interesting case. Now, I will say one thing. My understanding of the law is that you would have to, not that I'm a lawyer, I'm not a lawyer, but I have filed a lot of cases. Not filed, but for example, I filed two of the defendants on the Silk Road case. And I filed other cases as well. For example, I use Pacer. If you look up Pacer, it's a way you can download. You have to pay per page though, but you can download any case on the docket in any federal case, whether it's civil or criminal, in any federal court or court of appeals in the federal system. So, like I said, it's kind of pricey though. So, I just don't. What I'm trying to say to my point though is that on this at least is that I didn't know you could. Well, you can bring in a case you want. You can do whatever you want. But I didn't know you could prevail in the case if you hadn't really been harmed yet. I thought you had to first be harmed, and then you could bring a case. I know that sounds a bit crazy in a way where, for example, that's like saying that this Joseph here would first have to knowingly, well, he'd have to use Tornado.cash knowing that he's going to get in trouble for it, and then some kind of an authority would have to find out about it, and he'd have to face punishment. And at that point, he could bring the civil case, and he might even have to wait until after the criminal case or whatever kind of punishment he receives, or potential punishment. So I know that sounds a bit crazy, but my understanding was that you had to first be harmed it first. Your rights have to be violated first. Otherwise, anyone could just think anything right now, you or me, and we could think, well, I could be potentially harmed by anything. It's pretty much endless, limitless. So I don't think that it worked that way. Now, of course, again, like I said, you can bring a case for whatever you want to bring. It'll just be dismissed, or for whatever reason, or they'll say you have no standing, or not the incorrect venue, on and on and on, frivolous, whatever. So I'm very interested to see how this case is going to work out. And of course, I side with the plaintiffs. And now this case, I don't know if I mentioned this now, they filed this case a month after the sanctions from the Treasury. So they filed in September. And keep in mind, these are not the same people. These people here in this case, they're not developers of Tornado Cash. They're not involved with the sanctions from the Treasury. They're not. These are the people who would like to use Tornado Cash, and perhaps they were using it before the sanctions. Perhaps, I don't know. I don't even think that's relevant, really. I mean, maybe it is. I don't know. But I just found it very interesting. I'm going to file this case. Also, I believe there's a separate case in Florida. The plaintiffs are different people. I wish I could remember more details about it, but I believe it's pretty much the same thing. They would like to use Tornado Cash, but they're worried about potential penalties, whether that be criminal or civil. So I'm going to find out more about that. I'll make a video, and I'm also going to write about this. I'm going to try to find the rest of the documents on the docket and download those and put together something and publish it on my site. I've done this kind of thing in the past. I used to publish the Silk Road case on the Bitcoin.com forum. So I'm kind of familiar with it. And if you'd like to too, like I said, you can use Pacer. It's a bit pricey. You have to pay per page. But it's all very interesting. Now, before I wrap this up, if you want to take a look at the Tornado Cash Telegram group, where you can talk in there, or you can watch other people talk if you'd like. Over 7,000 members. It is Tornado Cash official. Also, if you want to go to Wikipedia, I don't read Wikipedia. I mean, but if you'd like to, I've got it pulled up here, but they got an entry for it, and it talks a bit about the sanctions from the Treasury last August. And also, here's the link to the press release for the U.S. Treasury sanctions. I don't know why they use the word notorious. That's not good. Kind of subjective. It doesn't seem very. Should the Treasury use words like notorious? It seems like it'd be just sanctions for the virtual currency mixer. This is well, Well, you know what? I'm gonna wrap the video. We'll talk soon. Bye.